Fear is that the spread of the Delta variant will outpace the vaccination effort months after many hoped the pandemic would be nearing its end. Hospitals are grappling with a surge of mostly unvaccinated patients. Now, some parishes are even running low on hospital beds. Devin Bartolotta takes a closer look at the numbers.
The data on the Department of Health website is enough to bring us back to 2020. In Region 1, New Orleans, Jefferson, St. Bernard, and Plaquemines Parishes, 39 people were in the hospital with COVID July 1st. Now that number is 159 people. On the North Shore, 42 people were hospitalized July 1st. Now there are 155. Ochsner says it's seeing a 423% increase in COVID patients from just 1 month ago. 97% of them since February have been unvaccinated, and the average age of inpatients is younger.
If you go back to last April, our average patient age was about 69. If you go to January, the average inpatient was about 65 years old. If you look at our inpatients today, the average age is about 55.
ICU beds are once again at a premium. In Region 3, which includes 7 parishes, including Terrebonne and the River parishes, there are just 6 ICU beds open and less than 30% of all hospital beds open. Government Tower is now closed in Terrebonne Parish. The parish website reads, quote, "Safety of everyone is paramount in keeping this pandemic under control." Percent positivity is now above 16% in Ascension, Livingston, and Tangipahoa parishes. But no parish is immune to the rising tide of COVID's 4th surge.
You had this mentality that, well, I'm going to let everybody else get vaccinated and I'm not, and the virus is going to go away. That's not what's happening. So everybody needs to protect themselves now and consider taking the vaccine if you haven't done so already.
Devin Bartolotta, Eyewitness News.